So for those of you who executed last night's game plan, you should have had a phenomenal green day today. In terms of the overall game plan, the best level that I gave you to buy call options ended up being towards the exact lows. I decided to wait for the level to hit along with a 30-minute candlestick confirmation. My first trade on the day was right before 12 p.m. I ended up going 3 for 3. My best trade was buying SPY call options literally towards the exact lows during the power hour trading session. I absolutely crushed it with multiple 100% profit returns on calls today, going 3 for 3. In terms of GROAR, he ended up going 2 for 4, and he ended up calling out SPX call options at the exact lows right before the market was about to close, and we made over a 1,000% plus profit return on those calls. We absolutely crushed it today. I'm going to be breaking down all the trades that we ended up making. First things first, let's finish this week very, very strong within the green and go over the new game plan, man. So in terms of the new game plan, we're going to start off with the daily chart foundation. Then I'm going to be breaking down the 30-minute chart. Let's get straight into it. So in terms of the overall SPY, the daily chart pattern is currently green, red, green. My experience in terms of what is overall happening with the SPY in this situation, it's either going to get new all-time highs heading into tomorrow or early into next week. Based off of my experience trading the SPY, and like I've been telling you all along this week, all we're going to be focused on is literally buying the dips, buying the dips, buying the dips. And the only key level of interest to buy put options was at the gap towards 608. I made it very, very clear that the gap was going to fill. So tomorrow's going to be a massive day. Now, in terms of the overall pattern, green, red, green on the daily chart. So in terms of how this can play out, this is what you need to understand heading into tomorrow. The main point in terms of this overall pattern is if we gap up. I want you to take a look right here. We have this green, red, green, a slanted uptrend to the right side. We have this green, red, green, a slanted uptrend to the right side, right? And on this day right here, keep in mind, extended hours on this day, we ended up closing the gap, having a reversal ever since. Not only has the SPY been having a reversal, but it's been exploding back up to close the gaps. There was a gap to fill towards 604.50. It closed the gap. There's a gap that's waiting to fill at 608, on pace to close the gap. So the point is, based off of the strategies that are currently in play on the daily chart, the gap close reversal, where the SPY closed this gap, began to have a reversal. Then the SPY began to fill this gap that's waiting to fill above at 608. Along with this green, red, green pattern, green, red, green pattern, along with all of this higher support that is forming, you can see right here, earlier into this week, you're going to see this daily candlestick right here, resistance at 600. We now have a strong floor above 600 with the gap close reversal strategy to fill the gap that's waiting to fill above at 608. So the point being is, if you look at the overall pattern in terms of history to repeat itself, if the SPY gaps up like it did here, heading into tomorrow, that's going to be signaling a strong bullish trend day. So in terms of the easy money and what I would prefer to happen, based off of the analysis that I'm making a day before the market's open, preferably, I would like the market to gap up. So what I know in terms of this overall pattern is, if we do gap up, I'm going to be targeting call options. Based off the history, it's saying that slightly above the previous closing price and towards the previous day highs would be a good entry for call options on a gap up or a gap and go for a strong potential bullish close. Now, if the SPY is opening up flat, what I want you to understand is this. The previous closing price, 605, is make or break. If we react bullish, form a floor, then it's going to try to react bullish overall. If we start to drop, spike back up, react bearish, form lower highs, then it's going to start to react bearish. Now, what would be a more bearish signal is if we are gapping down. So just understand, the previous closing price is make or break on a flat open. If we gap down, open up lower than 605, more likely to be a bearish trend day. If we gap up, more likely to be a bullish trend day. Buy call options slightly above the previous closing price. You can also target call options if we drop back towards the previous closing price. That's what I want you to understand based off of everything it is that I'm seeing with the daily chart patterns in my experience trading the SPY, because I made it very, very clear to you, especially in last night's video, that, based off my overall experience, I've traded the same exact pattern, just simply at different prices before on the SPY, and it's clearly on track to be buying the dips. This level that I gave you right here was the exact lows on the day. And this was the best level that I literally told you to be buying call options. It was towards this level right here. If you remember in terms of last night's video, this was the level that I gave you, this like 602 level. That was the main level of interest to be buying call options towards that 602. That was one of the main levels, right? I mean, in terms of the SPY, if you look in terms of what it is that it ended up doing today, right? I'm gonna show you here real quick. The SPY ended up having a gap up, which is a strong bullish signal, and then we dropped back down to reverse at the gap. You can see there was a gap to fill at 601.81. This overall zone was the zone I gave you to be buying call options in terms of the bullish pattern that led me to buying calls right before 12 p.m. It was this pattern right here, man. This pattern that I made it very, very clear for those of you who watch the overall videos. This is one of the patterns that I found with my unique third eye that works very, very well. If you go into the overall Discord and you type in never failed, you're going to see this is the pattern that pops up where you have this red candlestick facing to the downside, and then you have this candlestick facing to the upside. It doesn't have to be red here. It could be green as well. And then the next 30 minutes is supposed to be bullish. So if you look at this overall pattern right here, and then you compare it, and you can see that's at the gap as well. That's at the previous closing price. But if you compare that pattern to this pattern, you're going to see the similarities. Red facing to the down, green facing to the up. And it's having a reversal at the gap. And based off of the video that I made last night, I explained to you why that was a key level of interest to be buying call options. So in terms of, the first trade that I ended up making on the day, that's why I personally decided to buy call options using my level and using the plan that I gave you, along with the gap close reversal trading strategy, along with the gap that was waiting to fill above, along with the overall bullish thesis that I've been having, right? But in terms of the first overall trade, I made it very, very clear at 11:40 a.m. to be buying 604 SPY calls at 83 cents. And then I quickly exited the calls at 120 cents a contract. And then I ended up leaving runners to run, getting out towards the 228 cent range. Then I had 2 more wins on call options. I'm going to be breaking it down towards the end. But in terms of the game plan, man, I shared with you the game plan. Now, in terms of the levels, this is what I want you to understand. This is going to be very, very simple, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the levels. Very, very simple. If you take a look here at the SPY, this is going to be the very, very simple price ladder breakdown. So in terms of the SPY, we closed at 605.04. The previous closing price is make or break. It's more likely to react bullish if the SPY gaps up. If we gap down, the SPY is more likely to react bearish. If previous closing price breaks down below, reacts as overall resistance, then in terms of the SPY, we'll be on pace to drop towards this 603.20 to 602 zone. If we went under that, next level would be 599.50 to 597.50. If we did react bearish, I would be looking for a situation on call options at the oversold levels, but mainly if it's a flat open. If we're gapping down, I would be extremely careful with call option. Based off of what I saw on the daily chart, if the SPY is gapping down, it's going to be overall bearish. So if you're seeing a very bearish negative reaction under this 604.50, you can attempt puts. Be very, very fucking careful on that though. If we're gapping up, but if we're seeing bearish reactions on a gap down or flat open, then you could just try puts. That would be the main recommendation. Now, in terms of the calls, man, calls at previous closing price, especially if we're gapping up or if we're reacting bullish, at the previous closing price, based off the overall pattern, like I said, the big move for all-time highs is either going to happen tomorrow or heading into early next week. Once the market opens up tomorrow, I have a much better understanding if it's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm telling you, it's likely going to be happening very, very soon. And I told you how to determine that. The easiest way to get it tomorrow is the gap up. That's the easiest fucking way, is a gap up or is to hold above the previous closing price. If that can occur heading tomorrow where we're just holding above previous closing price or we're gapping up, it's very, very likely that we're going to be testing towards all-time highs, right? So that's just the most simple bullish scenario. It's a lot more complicated to be bullish if we're dropping below previous closing price. And if we're gapping down, then it's going to be overall bearish. So just keep that in mind. As long as we're above previous closing price, bullish. Super fucking bullish if we're gapping the fuck up. Now, in terms of the levels for the break and retest, right? The first break and retest level is going to be the following. So we closed at 605. So the next resistance level is going to be right here, 606. And then the next level above 606 is going to be right here, 607. Those are going to be your break and retest levels. On a gap up, if you're seeing bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you're buying call options at those overall levels. In terms of profit targets, 608. We can potentially have a pullback at 608. This is a high gap, right? So keep in mind, I'm going to disable extended hours. I'm going to walk you through the curriculum, right? You need to be using the gap close reversal trading strategy at all times. Take a look. There was a gap to fill at 604.50. Once we filled the gap and there was a red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation, what did the SPY do? It started to drop and close the gap. So the point is the SPY gapped up. It had an overreaction and it closed this gap at 604.50. Once the gap filled, it had a reversal. Once we dropped back down to fill the gap that was waiting to fill below at 601.78, 601.81, it had another reversal. It had back-to-back gap close reversals. The SPY is on a strong trend of having gap close reversals, but the overall trend is bullish. So if the SPY just opened up with a massive gap up, the same thing could potentially happen. What can happen is if the SPY has a gap up and we're opening up above 608, if you're seeing bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations at 608 or above, you can try puts like earlier today and then play for the gap that's waiting to fill below. There would be a gap to fill below at 605. Just keep in mind, historically, based off the daily chart pattern, if we do gap up, it might bottom slightly above the previous closing price and not retest it. So in terms of where it can bottom at, you need to be looking at the break and retest levels. Like I told you, 606 and 607. Those would be good dip buying opportunities on a gap up. So with puts, just be extremely careful in terms of puts for tomorrow. If we're opening up with a massive gap up and you're seeing bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you can attempt puts because it's going to try to come back down a little bit to fill that gap. If that does not occur and we're gapping the fuck up, I would stay the fuck away from puts, right? So this is all very simple. Losing is a personal fucking choice. If you use this game plan, you should have a phenomenal green day heading into tomorrow. Last night's video, I taught you how to be self-sufficient to a fucking team, man. And in terms of the overall plays, man, like I said, so once 608 breaks out, reacts to support, then we start to push towards new all-time highs towards 609.50 to 610. That's the game plan. Use my fucking levels, use my curriculum, use my information. You're going to be printing at the speed of fucking light tomorrow. I can assure you, we're going to be closing out this week very, very strong within the green. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a phenomenal day to be trading. You guys are well aware, our best trading days, they tend to always be on Friday. And we also have the zero dates on stocks, many stocks that we're watching that are going to be expiring on Friday. One of the stocks that's on my radar heading into the Friday session, because you guys know we like to trade zero dates. So in terms of stocks, we really like to wait towards the end of the week when we trade a stock. But INTC, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this overall one, along with many other stocks. Obviously, the main focus is going to be SPY. But in terms of INTC, you know, we're at extremely oversold levels in terms of the overall strategy. You can see there was a gap that was waiting to fill below right here towards this 1937 range. Once we closed the gap, there was a gap close reversal and a green bullish daily candlestick. And then the overall trend was bullish for a few days, right? So we're towards similar levels. And INTC just ended up closing this gap at 1967 cents. And there's now a green bullish daily candlestick, which could be signaling a potential bullish trend day heading into tomorrow, right? That's just one of the stocks. I'm not going to be sharing all the stocks that are on my radar heading into tomorrow, but there is going to be more potential plays. But I'm telling you, man, use the information I gave you on SPY. It's going to be fucking phenomenal. We're going to be printing at the speed of fucking light, non-fucking stop, just unlimited fucking printing. So, yeah. Now, in terms of the trades, let's get into the trades, man. I'm going to break down the overall trades in chart. Let's get straight into it. So, in terms of the overall, chart analysis on the SPY, we had a gap up. We closed the gap at 604.50, and it began to have a reversal. And then the SPY dropped back down to close the gap at 601.82. If you watched last night's video, you were well aware I was interested in buying potential dips based off of the technical strategies that I created. One of them is the gap close reversal strategy. So when I saw the SPY has been consistently having reversals, if you disable extended hours, the gap close reversal trading strategy that I've created with my unique third eye has been on absolutely fucking fire. There was a gap to fill right here at 591.68. During the extended hours trading session, it closed the gap and it ended up forming bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations. There was resistance right here. The SPY had a break above the resistance, drop back down to form higher support, break and retest, and it continued to have a reversal to then start to explode to fill this gap that was waiting to fill above at 608. So as I was analyzing the market heading into today, what I noticed was, and what I was aware of was, I really wanted to buy the fucking dips. That was one of my main interests. And I had my levels, and the levels I provided in terms of the dip buys were literally towards the lows. So, I noticed there was a gap to fill here. I noticed it was beginning to have a reversal. In terms of like a massive gap up at open, I'm more likely to wait for a pullback to buy on a break and retest rather than just to buy out the fucking gate, especially if the SPY opens up at a gap and it's beginning to have a reversal. If we're gapping up and we open up at a gap to fill at 604.50, gap to fill at 608, I'm less likely to just buy calls because it could potentially drop first and have a reversal at that gap to drop back down. That's waiting to fill below right here at this gap at 601.81. So I've been well aware of the overall bullish trend and the dip buying opportunities and the levels to be buying at. And once I noticed that, the SPY closed this gap, began to have a reversal, started to drop once this red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation closed red, to me, I wanted to wait for a confirmation to buy the dip. So I noticed the gap close reversal trading strategy was working phenomenal. Once we drop back down to fill this gap at 601.81, there's a higher purpose for the SPY. And in terms of the higher purposes, overall trend is bullish, so it can potentially reverse at this gap. Then it can start to push higher to fill this gap that is waiting to fill above at 608. And then in terms of my experience trading the SPY, as the 30-minute chart started to develop, it was very, very clear to me that we were on pace for new highs. And I made that very, very clear towards the 12 p.m. range. I'm going to be breaking this down for you. So in terms of the overall first trade that I made, I ended up buying, the calls, as you can see right here, 604 calls at 83 cents a contract at 11:48 a.m. So if you go to 604 calls, I'm going to show you exactly where we ended up getting in on this overall trade. So in terms of this overall trade, you're going to see right here, this is where I ended up getting in. As soon as I got in, 1 minute later, it was consolidating. And then it was a strong bullish uptrend. On this particular trade, I timed it exactly perfectly. And the entry was the best entry that you could have gotten at the time. So the trade was absolutely perfect. In terms of where I ended up exiting 80% of that position, it was at 11:56 a.m. So the contracts from 11:48 to 11:56, right? Literally in just 8 fucking minutes, went from 80 cents all the way to 120 cents, 40-cent increase in premiums. I ended up selling right here towards the exact peak before they came crashing back down, right? With that being said, you could see in terms of where I ended up selling, I got out at 11:56 a.m. Now, in terms of the second win that I had in a row, because you guys are well aware, I had 3 wins in a row today, and that was it for me. So at 12:19 p.m., let's buy SPY 604 calls at 68 cents a contract. So if you go to 12:19 p.m., right? And again, in terms of the reason why I made that first trade is very, very clear. Because I'm someone who actually explains the reasoning behind my fucking trades, right? Some people just like to trade. They don't like to explain the reasoning behind their trades. But, in terms of the reasoning behind the trade, I got in as this 30-minute candlestick was kind of just like in the middle overall, just kind of like bearish, right? This is the 11:30 opening of the overall candle. In terms of when I got in right before it was about to close, right? So I took advantage of the overall bullish pattern. The bullish pattern was a gap close reversal. We closed the gap, we held support for an hour. And then, like I said, if you type in the never failed pattern, you're going to see we have a red candlestick facing to the downside, and then you have a candlestick facing to the upside. Downside, upside, next 30 minutes is strong and bullish. Downside, upside, next 30 minutes is strong and bullish, right? And then we could potentially drop after that, which is why I quickly sold. So I was taking advantage of an overall bullish pattern that was very, very well confirmed for a strong close. And I had reasonings as well in the 1-minute chart in the overall bullish trend, along with last night's foundation and game plan. That was the overall reasoning behind the trade. It gets a lot more complex and advanced in terms of than what I just said. Obviously, last night's video can help in terms of the overall level, but this breaks down some of the basics, right? So in terms of the next trades, let me walk you through this here. So I'm going to explain to you in terms of the second trade. We're going to get into this, man. And towards the end, I'm going to show you, man, G-Roll called out a 1,000% gain on SPX calls. And right around the same time, I called out a massive gain on SPY calls. It was fucking amazing, man. So let's get into this. You're going to see right here, I ended up buying SPY 604 calls at 12:19 p.m. at 68 cents a contract. So if you go to SPY 604 calls at 12:19 p.m., you're going to see this is where I ended up getting in. So I ended up getting in the trade right here, close to the lows. It quickly sold off to 50 cents, but we don't use stop losses. We put in our entire position size as our max risk per trade, and we hold the trades. If it expires worthless and goes to zero, we don't win. If it goes green and we're up 15% plus, we set a profit stop, we get stopped out for profit, right? So as long as we're basically green up a little bit, we'll win because we set the profit stops. Now, in terms of this trade, you're going to see I ended up getting in at 12:19 p.m. and I ended up adding at 12:39 p.m. So I ended up adding right here towards the exact close at 12:39 p.m. And then in terms of where I ended up adding again, I quickly added at 12:42 p.m. towards the lows, and then I ended up selling at 95 cents. I exited the trade at 95 cents at 1:09 p.m. This is where I got out, right here, 1:09 p.m. As soon as I got out, nice little drop, right? That's a fairly good trade. Buying towards the lows in the 60s, selling towards the 90. Now, in terms of the next trades, let's get into it. And I made it very clear that I'm leaving runners. Leave 20% to run. I'm 2 for 2. I left runners. And in terms of where I sold these runners, I was buying in the 60s, and I was scaling into the trade as it was having a small drop against me, and I ended up selling my runners from 68 all the way to 224 cents. Sold my runners at 3:06 p.m. So in terms of where I ended up exiting on those runners, I sold my runners at 3:06 p.m. As soon as I got out of my fucking runners, look at this. The contracts went from 220 all the way down to 170 just 2 minutes after I exited the position. And then in terms of the day, they ran all the way to 270. Now, you guys are well aware if I tend to keep on trading, the trades tend to get better overall. So this was the last trade. This was one of, this is an amazing trade you could have made as well. Power hour trading session, you guys are well aware. I'm the power hour king. That's when I trade best during, 3 to 4 p.m. Mainly 3:30 to 4. You're going to see my trades 1 or 2 during the middle of the day, and then on power hour trading session. You're rarely going to see me trade in the morning. I'll follow some of the trades in T-More during the morning because they tend to be the best morning trades. Now, with that being said, in terms of the next trade, 3:42 p.m. So I ended up buying the SPY 604 calls at 45 cents a contract. So if you go to 3:42 p.m., you're going to see this is where I ended up getting on this overall trade. So I got in on this trade right here, literally towards the lows. As soon as I got in, they went from 50 cents to 20 cents in 2 minutes, So if you had a stop loss in just 2 minutes, you wouldn't have been able to hold for the trend. If you held with the trend, it went all the way to 160, 50 fucking cents to 160 is a good fucking trade. Even if the trade dropped to 1 fucking cent, it's not the best entry, but it's at 200% plus potential profit fucking return. Don't use stop losses, trade the fucking trend. We don't use stop losses. If the trade expires worthless and go to 0, then we lose. If the trade goes up 15% plus and we're green, we set the profit stops, get stopped out for profit. Sell the moves, leave runners, sell deep in the money. We do the complete opposite of what everyone else is doing, and we're trading the fucking trend. We don't get spooked out of a 50% fucking drawdown within a couple fucking minutes because we trade the fucking trend. And we're putting in our entire position size as our max risk per trade. The most we lose on an option is what we put in. What we put in is our max risk per fucking trade. Therefore, we don't need a stop loss. We can just let the contract expire 0 and go to fucking worthless. If you can't afford to risk $50 on a contract, don't fucking trade option. So, in terms of this trade, 50 cents to 170 is a phenomenal trade. Now, obviously, you can see during the power hour trading session, just 2 minutes makes all the fucking difference. Because if you would have gotten in at 20 cents and it goes to 200, you would have made fucking 1,000%. But if you're in at 50 and it goes to 200, then you're making 300%. So obviously, there's a big difference in terms of entry. But regardless, still phenomenal gains, still phenomenal results, still a great risk reward ratio. 300%. If you're risking 100% to make 300%, that's a fucking 3.0 risk to return fucking ratio. Now, in terms of this overall trade, you're gonna see. So I ended up adding at 31 cents. I normally don't add to losses, but it made sense for me because I was playing for a bullish close, and as soon as I got in, the trade dropped like 50%. And I was looking at the other strikes, and what made sense to me was just to add to this one because I believed in the strike. It wasn't too far out of the money, and it was on track to go in the money for big gains. And I told myself, I'm going to add to this one. I'm comfortable with this strike. I don't want to do another strike on SPY. And I told myself, if we have a small drop soon, I'm going to buy SPX calls and I'll hold the SPY calls. Shortly after I made this trade, G-Roar called out the SPX calls. We fucking crushed it on both fucking plays. I took those calls as well. With that being said, man, we fucking crushed it, man. Like I'm saying, man, I was waiting for a little bit more of a pullback on SPX, so I went for SPY. With SPX, you have to time that fucker near perfect. But when G-Roar called that shit out, I was in on SP fucking X because I knew that shit was going to fucking print. When we're both in on the same fucking side, it's going to fucking print, man. So, you got to be grateful and thankful for that. Because like I said, man, I was waiting in terms of SPX for a small drop, but he called out the SPX fucking play, so I took that. I'm going to trust that as well. Now, with that being said, I added at 31 cents, right? In terms of when I added, it was at 3:45 p.m. As you can see right here at 3:45 p.m., this is the exact fucking lows. So I added at the exact fucking lows. And in terms of where I ended up exiting this overall trade, I ended up getting out at 106 cents at 3:54 p.m., which is right here. So in terms of fucking today, we absolutely fucking annihilated and crushed the stock market. And we were printing at the speed of fucking light all fucking day. In terms of the trades that G-Roar ended up making, I'm going to break it down here for you real quick. So in terms of the overall trades, G-Roar ended up going 2 for 4. So in terms of the win rate, that's 50% on the trades, on the overall, win rate with the trades. But in terms of the overall gains, the percentage gains outweighed all of the fucking losses. And again, you get to decide where you want to sell. Like I said, we just recommend you just let the contracts expire 0 and go to fucking worthless. Whatever the fuck you do, don't use a fucking stop loss. That's the worst thing you can fucking do. But it's just when you're trading the trend on far the money option contracts, best thing, just let it ride, let it play out, invest majority of the time. And then when you're green, set the profit stop. So we had 440 Tesla calls, right? So in terms of the Tesla calls, in terms of this overall trade, right? So you're going to see right here 440 Tesla calls at market open. So on this particular trade, it did not work out, right? So that was a DOA. We had a dead on arrival. So in terms of the morning trade did not work out, right? We had a quick morning trade on Tesla and on SPY. The morning trades did not work out. So if the morning trades don't work out, we have 2 more sessions. We have the middle of the day and we have power hour. The power hour trading session tends to be the best time to trade, where the contracts are the cheapest, and you're going to see the biggest moves in such a short period of time. The market open trades, to get a super massive gain like 1000x plus, you're going to have to hold that from market open to close. It has to be a bullish or bearish overall trend day. You can still make massive gains within 30 minutes to an hour, but in terms of power hour, the gains are so fucking unlimited, and it's in the quickest period of time. And the contracts are so fucking cheap. It's the best time to trade during power hour. You guys are well aware in terms of Team Roar with the options trade alert system that you should be starting light in the morning. So, I mean, it should be big enough where you can walk away and be green for the day and you don't have to keep on trading. But if you're red in the morning session, it shouldn't be big enough where you can't keep on trading for the overall day, right? So you guys are well aware to start light in terms of the next trades. So the first 2 did not work out. 600 SPY puts for 60 cents a contract. If you go to 600 SPY puts, you're going to see right here, this is where we ended up getting in on the puts. So we got it on these puts at 10:30 a.m. You're going to see right here, 10:30 a.m., this is where we got in on the puts. As soon as we got in these puts right here, they quickly went from 60 all the way down to 30. The puts dropped 50%, but it happened in a quick period of time, and we have the whole day for the contracts to go green or go in the fucking money. So you don't use the stop loss and you hold the fucking trade and you set the profit stops when you're green. As you can see, it works because the contracts quickly went straight back up to 120. 60 to 120 is a 100% plus profit return. Doesn't matter if the contracts drop 50%. If the contracts drop a lot, instead of adding to a loser, we will typically buy a second strike at certain times when it makes sense. The second strike, as long as we're right about the trend, tends to be a lot bigger of a percentage gain and better entry than the first one. But as long as we're trading with the trend, both of the strikes print and both of the strikes work. So that was a very successful win, making up for one of the L's before. Now, in terms of the final trade, and this is the importance of the overall trading system, because you need to understand, this is an all-day trading fucking system. Market open, middle of the day, power fucking hour. If the morning trades don't work, you have the entire day to make up for that and more, right? 3 fucking sessions. Manage your risk accordingly. And start light in terms of the morning. So you can situate yourselves to where if you need to, in terms of going green on the day, you could trade middle of the day and power fucking hour, especially power fucking hours. Some people just trade during power hour and skip the fucking morning. But I'm telling you, the morning sessions are phenomenal. The power hour trading sessions are fucking amazing. But you're gonna see, man. And then obviously, if you start light in the morning, 1 big win or 2 small wins in a row, you're green enough to call for the day. So if you're green enough to call for the day, you've hit some sort of goal and you're green enough, then in that situation, what you need to do is, if you keep on trading, which you don't have to because you're already green enough and you're green for the day, you need to risk 25 to 50% of your profits. If you lose that amount that you decided to risk, you have to force yourself to stop trading no matter what, because you cannot risk going green to red. You have to be able to survive within this market, especially if you're already fucking green. Now, in terms of the final trade, this just goes to show you the win rate does not matter. Even with a 50% win rate, 2 for 4 on these trades, it does not fucking matter. Because look, 80 cents. It's only 80 cents a contract. 6070 SPX calls. Shortly after, I ended up buying SPY calls. G-Roar ended up buying SPX calls. I made the chat clear that I was planning to buy SPX calls, but I wanted a small drop. We didn't get the small drop. G-Roar called out the fucking play. I took the play and I held my calls as well. Both of the plays fucking printed. When there's a trend in play in situations and you're using multiple timeframes with multiple traders and experiences, you can quickly make multiple strikes, and these strikes can go up massive amounts timed perfectly. SPX is a different fucking beast. Like I said, I didn't call it the SPX play because I wanted to wait a little bit. You have to time this nair fucking perfectly And I was already in SPY calls. So the way I saw it was, you know what? If we just get a small little pullback instead of, continuing to add to these SPY calls and the SPX calls get cheaper and the more decayed, I'm just going to pick up the fucking SPX calls because either way, this trend's going to be bullish as fuck. But GROAR identified an opportunity to take advantage of SPX and it played out fucking amazing. And these calls went up a lot more than the SPY calls. Like I said, 3:30 to 4 p.m., best time to be trading SP fucking X, right? You just need to understand it's a different fucking beast, man. You have to time SPX near fucking perfectly. It's a lot easier to trade SPY in many situations during the power hour, but SPX tends to be a lot harder, but the gains tend to be a lot bigger, right? So in certain situations, like I'll take SPY first, and then if it's just a no-brainer opportunity for me to buy SPX because I just waited so long, there's some sort of confirmation and they're just dirt fucking cheap, then I'll get it on SPX. But another confirmation is when GROAR calls to fucking play, you get the fucking on SPX calls, especially if I'm already in on SPY calls. So 6070 SPX calls for 80 cents a contract. This is the trade that he called out. I'm going to walk you through this. 3:49 p.m. You go to 3:49 p.m., you're going to see, look at this. This is the lows. 3:45 p.m., this is when I was adding to my SPY calls. 4 minutes later, we're buying SPX calls at the exact fucking lows. Both of the strikes are printing. That counts as two massive wins. And like I said, the SPX calls are going to go up a lot more than the SPY calls, especially during the power hour trading session. So, obviously the SPY calls tend to be a little bit cheaper, but I'm telling you, SP fucking X, it's just you have to time it perfectly. A lot of people don't trade SPX because they can't time it fucking perfectly. What helps is trading the trend. If you have to trade something where it requires near perfect timing, what helps is knowing what strike to select. That's going to be extremely profitable and far out of the money, but not far enough where it's not going to go deep in the money. So some sort of profit target potential, along with trading the fucking trend. But like I said, SPX is a different fucking beast, especially during 3:30 to 4 p.m. It requires insane perfect timing. You can even in a way buy SPY first to get a flow and feel for everything. And then when it seems like it's time to buy SPX, then you could buy SPX, right? Like in a sense, another way to think about it is SPY is not going to be as far out of the money and it's going to be a lot cheaper in a sense. And in that particular situation, on those overall SPY calls, it's not going to be as far out of the money and it's going to be a bit cheaper. And you could just kind of hold it and just, aim for a kind of smaller win. And when SPX is a lot more theta decayed and stuff like that, then you could take SPX when it's cheaper and lower risk. Instead of paying more for SPX, you can pay more for SPY first, make less on SPY, and then when it seems like it's time to buy SPX, pay less for SPX, right? In certain situations, I'll do that. I'll pay a little bit more for SPY. I'll even get it on SPY calls, even if it's just a little bit too more, because I know the overall trend on 30 minutes is going to close bullish or bearish. And I don't mind paying a little bit more for SPY, because if those contracts go down a lot, they're still going to fucking print. And what I can do is I could just buy an SPX strike. That's another thing you can fucking do. Or you can just wait to trade SPX. It depends on the type of strategy and systems you want to develop. So these contracts quickly went from, as you can see, 80 cents all the way to 800 cents. The beauty of this trade was you set the profit stop and you move the profit stop up higher. The big pullback didn't occur until we hit the 600s. So you would have made nearly 1,000% and you would have been stopped out for that 1,000% as long as you're moving your profit stop up higher, because these contracts went straight the fuck up, literally to 670 without a pullback. These went straight from fucking 80 to fucking 700 within minutes. Where else are you going to be able to risk $80 to make $700 in the span of minutes? Power hour trading session is going to be the best session to trade. To make gains like this when you're trading at market open, basically the main way is a bullish or bearish trend day. And it has to be one of those situations where it's just literally right out the gate. Right out the gate, that was the best time to get in. And then SPY just keeps on going up or keeps on going down all throughout the day and has a strong bullish or bearish close. If you do that type of strategy and you go far in the money, you can make 1,000 to 3,000% plus gains on a bullish or bearish trend day. But in terms of the power hour trading session, you can make unlimited multiple 1,000% plus gains within less than 30 minutes, man. Like I said, on SPX, it's a different fucking beast. SPY is a lot fucking easier. You don't have to time it as fucking perfectly. And SPX has 3 fucking strikes. At the end of the day, when you're going out of money on SPX, you got to figure out which is the right fucking strike. And there's 3 fucking strikes, right? So the one that might print might be that one in the middle, right? SPY has 2 fucking strikes. The beauty of SPX is it gives you multiple fucking options. It gives you 3 strikes. You can create a play that isn't even available or it doesn't make sense on SPY because it doesn't have that 3rd fucking strike in the fucking middle, and you could take SPX. So just be aware of all this, man, because I'm telling you, what you can do with SPX is fucking amazing. Now, with that being said, that was the trades that we ended up making. So you really have to ask yourself, what other secured private organization do you know of who's printing like us at the speed of fucking light? Who started this? Who built this whole fucking company from the ground up? From absolutely fucking nothing, built this whole fucking secured private organization, right? Like I said, man, I've trained many multimillionaire traders, and I now have a multimillionaire trader who's been working with me for over a year. And he's been a big blessing, in terms of the value he delivers to the community, in terms of the trade he gives out and the quality of information he's providing. So, I mean, for those of you who are serious about trading and working alongside with us, it's the first link down below within the description. You get to trade and work alongside with us. You get all of our trades alerted in real time. Our style of trading is far out of the money 0-day option contracts. We're known for buying cheap, low risk contracts, selling deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains within the overall market. We do not use stop losses. Max risk per trade is what we put into the trade. If the trade expires worthless and go to zero, then we lose what we put in, which is our max risk per trade. When traders use a stop loss, they lose their max risk per trade. When our contracts expire worthless and go to zero, we lose our max risk per trade. We have the entire day for the contracts to go green. If the contracts go green before they go in the money, we set the profit stop. If the contracts go in the money, then it's even more massive fucking gains. We set the profit stop to ensure that when we're green enough, we don't go back to red and we get stopped out for profits. We quickly add to winners to increase the winnings. In terms of percentage gains, 5 to 20% is small percentage gains for us. We make the biggest percentage gains in the market with the cheapest low risk contracts, right? And you're going to see we quickly add to winners to increase the fucking winning. We set profit stops to ensure we don't go green or red. We move the profit stops up higher to ensure that we get stopped out for the bulk of our overall profits. And in that particular situation, you're going to see, man, we have the best style and system to be trading within the market. This is not just buy and sell alerts. This is a real-time 0-day options trading alert system. This is a unique system that we've created, a unique style of trading. You trade alongside us, you're going to begin to learn a lot within the market. You're going to gain a lot of experience trading alongside with us. You're going to see, man, I mean, you can use the system in many fucking ways, not just trying to blindly follow trades. You can use this as a confirmation to take one of your trades, right? Like I said, the trade that G-Roar ended up making, like this is the beauty of you can do so much with trade alerts. I'll show you the beauty of how I use this today. I mean, in terms of this overall trade. So I was in on SPY calls, right? And on SPX, you have to time perfectly. I'm telling you, especially towards like 345 to 355, within those 10 minutes, it makes all the fucking difference on SPX. I showed you what happened with the fucking SPY calls. So in a lot of situations, I don't mind paying a little bit higher for SPY because it's already cheap. Cheap means low risk. And as long as it's situated in a way where I'm still going to make massive fucking gains, and I can always add if I wanted to if it has a quick drop against me, right? But in certain situations, I don't mind buying SPY first. You got to understand, SPX has 3 different strikes. SPX is a different fucking ball game that requires perfect timing as well, right? SPX gives you unlimited fucking options. When you have unlimited fucking options, it gets a little bit complex in terms of timing and what strike to fucking select, especially when these contracts are getting ready to decay and expire worthless. SPY is a lot more simpler and easier. And like I said, I don't mind paying more in certain situations. So think about it like this. I was in at 3:42 p.m. and I'm in at 45 cents. That could seem a bit high for the strike I chose at that particular time, but I was well aware it can easily go up 200%. So I didn't mind paying for that. Even if it goes to 5 cents, I'm not pissed off because if it goes to 5 fucking cents, I'm either buying a different strike on SPY and holding this one as well, if both of them print, or I'm going to buy an SPX fucking play. So as long as I feel as I'm getting a good deal in certain situations, I will take the fucking deal, right? In terms of the 0-day options trades. Now look at this. You're going to see right here, Matt. So in terms of this overall situation, I was adding to the calls. Who's holding calls with me till close because I'm bullish on a close. All you have to do is hold it for fucking 13 minutes after that message. Now look at this. If we get another drop, I'm going to be buying SPX. So the market's about to close, and I'm saying if we could just get a small little drop, I'm going to pick up SPX. We didn't get the drop, but what we got was fucking G-Roar. And I'm going to trust that fucking trade because I was already interested in SPX calls, and I was already bullish for a close. So having G-Roar alongside me, that adds a second fucking win. And my trade went up like fucking, 30 to fucking 170. This one went from 80 to fucking 800. SPX a different beast. But at the end of the day, you got to call the fucking play. And I was only going to call SPX if it had a small fucking drop. So there's many ways to use trading systems to your advantage, right? It's a confirmation as your overall trade and your overall idea. I knew I wanted to buy SPX calls, but for me, I wanted to wait for a certain pullback, and we didn't get the pullback. But when I saw that fucking trade, I said, I'm going with it. We're both in on this fucking play, both bullish to fucking close. Let's fucking run it up. Both of the strikes fucking printed. SPX a different fucking beast that can make you so much bigger fucking gains, but you gotta time it fucking perfectly to experience those crazy fucking gains. You know, like I said, on SPY sometimes I don't mind paying more because it's already cheap. And if it makes sense, it's still gonna go up 200% plus. And if it's just getting fucked, I'll buy SPX or I'll buy another contract on SPY when it makes more sense. So there's many ways that you can use trade alerts to your advantage. And that's something that you have to understand, man. This isn't about just blindly following. You know, we all have styles of trading. You can use people's styles of trading and system to your own particular advantage. You can use it as a confirmation for your own trade. Also, the way to learn how to trade is to trade. So if you trade alongside us, an advanced strategic system, right, ran by multimillionaire, you're going to gain a lot of fucking experience. At the end of the day, the people who apply themselves and dedicate themselves to the overall system, right, that we've created and the trades that we're putting out, you know, you're going to gain a lot of fucking experience. This was the 1:31 p.m. SPY is on pace to close at new highs today. That was all based solely off of my experience trading the SPY in the fucking past, man. That message right there helped lead up to my trade on SPY during power hour, which was over 2 hours after that fucking message, man. I'm very precise on my overall style of trading and entries. It takes several hours for me to consider even making a fucking trade. And then in terms of SPX, like, dude, oh my God, SPX is a different fucking animal, man. More options, more complexity, but the gains are fucking crazy, but it requires like near perfect timing. Especially when you're trading at that fucking time, man. Like, look at the fucking SPX contracts. Like, look at this. Fucking, these fucking contracts. Look at this, man. Look at the difference. You could have gotten in right here at 250. Just 4 minutes later, you're in at 25 cents. And then these fucking degenerates will use a stop loss and they'll get stopped out and they'll never fucking win, man. You want to know why a lot of people lose money in crypto? And this relates to options as well. A lot of people lose money in crypto because they're not willing to hold the crypto. And one of the reasons why people aren't willing to hold something is because they're sizing in too big. So what's the solution? The fucking solution is holding for long periods of time so you can experience big fucking gains, getting good fucking entries, but optimizing something that has the biggest percentage gains in market, man. I see it all the time. A lot of people lose money on cryptocurrency because, you know, you need to take size. You need to take fucking size. And people don't like bundling up their fucking money for some gains, right? In that particular situation, if they're down 50% and they put some good money into it, they're fucking out. With us, we enter the biggest percentage option trades in the fucking market. They happen at the speed of fucking light. We know exactly how much money we're gonna lose, and we don't have to put in a lot. We don't have to tie ourselves up in a situation buying a fucking stock or buying and holding a fucking cryptocurrency. Again, I'm not talking about scalping a fucking meme coin. I'm saying like from like more of like a swing trade or more just like a, you know, investing standpoint. Like a lot of people lose money in trading in general. It depends, but a lot of people lose money because they buy something that is higher in price, that is more riskier. The more you pay, the more you risk. And in that particular situation, when you tend to pay more, you not only risk more of your money, but you make less gains. So you're literally making less gains and you're literally risking fucking more. Why the fuck are people paying more to make less gain, right? And if you're making less gains, paying fucking more, you need to hold longer to make gains. But the problem is, people put in so much fucking money, they set a stop loss, they get stopped out. They never get to hold for the big fucking win because they're so fucking tied up. They never get to experience the win. The market chops and fucks them up. They never get to fucking hold. On this SPX fucking play, you buy one contract, say you got into fucking 250, say we didn't time it right? Us, we timed it fucking perfectly because we're the fucking best. But say you're not the fucking best, right? Say you're like, you're shit. So if you're shit and you got in at 250 a couple minutes before us, it went to 25 cents. The play dropped like fucking 90%. But still, 250 to fucking 800 is a fucking win. So obviously, you know, it's a massive difference in terms of percentage gain with the timing and the fucking entry, but it's still a fucking win. So don't be a little fucking bitch and use a fucking stop loss. Don't join our fucking group if you're going to use stop losses. It's not for you. Like I said, what we've created is not for fucking everyone. This is for people who want to pay less, risk less, make the biggest percentage gains, surround themselves with multi-fucking millionaire, 10 years plus fucking experience fucking trading real-time zero-day options trade alert systems in the fucking game for over a fucking decade. It's like, dude, if you want to print non-fucking stop, Join our fucking group. We are going to print unlimited fucking money tomorrow. We're going to win non-fucking stop and close off this week very, very strong within the green. If you are serious about trading alongside us in our community and gaining access to a real-time zero-day options trading alert system, it is the first link down below within the description. We are doing the complete opposite of what every trader you follow is literally doing. And we're creating strategic systems that make people money. And not just make people money. These systems help people learn. They help people gain experience within the fucking market. Again, part of that's on you. Some people are going to join this program, and they might make money, but they might not get the same experience as other people. Because again, part of trading is how you think and how you see the market. If you see things differently, if you think fucking differently, you get a different experience than what someone provides. Like I said, with my experience in trading, I saw a play for SPX, but I wanted to wait. But I also fucking know if G-Roar takes a fucking play on closed during power, especially if I'm fucking in it, I'm using that as a confirmation to get the fuck in and fuck the pullback. Hell, if it fucking pulls back, I'll pick up another fucking strike and both will fucking print. All right? So it depends how you fucking see this, man. You can use all of this to your experience. At the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. If someone joins a community in a group, that's on them in terms of how they see it and how they experience it and how they think about it. You can use this to your fucking advantage, right? Just do it in an ethical way. So I'm telling you, you can gain a lot of experience trading alongside us. If you fuse with the right person, you fuse with the right trader, you start to level up like fucking crazy, man. Think about all the fucking traders from our fucking communities, right? You fucking see them, man. All these fucking traders who started off of our fucking communities. I'm telling you, man, a lot of people around us who trade alongside us, they get better at trading. A lot of them genuinely get better at trading. And you're going to see there's a lot of people in here who make over $500 to $1,000 a day. There's people in here who make over 5 figures a week. There's people over here who make over 6 figures a fucking month, man. So we've optimized for the best style of trading. The win rate doesn't fucking matter. Like I said, G-Horse trades alone is a 50% win rate. One SPX play, 1,000% gain, wipes out all the fucking L's. And it gives you a foundation where the win rate no longer matters. If you have 9 100% losses in a row, and then you have a 1,000% win, you're fucking net positive. You understand? If you have 18 50% losses in a row, and then 1,000% win, you're net fucking positive. So at the end of the day, position sizing and risk management 101 is very fucking important when you have a system where you can be extremely profitable without a high win rate. Obviously, if you're starting small, having a cushion is going to help, and the bigger the fucking better, right? But that's people's choice if they want to start small. If you're starting that fucking small of an account, then people should obviously understand that, they have less chance of success because they're starting that fucking small. But at the end of the day, we're buying the cheapest, low risk, biggest percentage gain. So it's the best chance for them to succeed, because with this, you can be profitable with the lowest fucking win rate. But obviously, if you're starting that fucking small, it's just more of a learning experience. But there's been many small accounts in here who ran it up to 5 figures within a week. Like I said, man, if you take the net positive results of all the fucking trades combined, we've had days collectively where if you listened to the overall system and all the trades we made, we're up over multiple 1,000% profit return. So if you were to put in $100 into each one of those fucking trades and we're at multiple 1,000% profit returns, it's like you could have flipped $100 into multiple thousands of dollars. We've had people run it up from a couple $100s to multiple thousands of dollars within a week. We've had people run it up from like fucking 5K to fucking 50K. So I'm telling you, it is fucking possible when you have an unlimited money printing machine. So if you want to experience something different and trade alongside us, it's going to be the first link down below within the description. I can assure you, we are going to finish this week very, very strong within the green. I mean, look at this, man. We had a member today make over $15,000. Like, absolutely fucking amazing, man. I'm telling you, we got a lot of people who were printing here at the speed of fucking light. Look at this. Weeks of fucking losses wiped out in a single fucking day, man. Plus some fucking profit. How is that possible? If you have weeks of fucking losses, how is it possible to wipe out all those fucking losses in a cheap, low risk way? I told you, man. SP fucking X, power fucking hour. Get with the fucking system, man. We've dedicated a fucking decade to mastering this. This is what we choose to trade. We know how to trade. We can trade any fucking trade shares, we can trade in the money options. We can trade whatever the fuck we want to trade. We know how to fucking trade. What we do fucking works. We can apply this to any fucking asset class. We've chosen to optimize for far out the money options that are zero dates because these fucking options have unlimited profit potential. And at the end of the day, in terms of gaining options within the market to creating unique trading systems, far out of the money options give you the most options. This is the best system to optimize for. SPX has 3 fucking strikes. The amount of fucking opportunity is fucking game and fucking life changing, man. So, if you want to make money and you want to learn how to trade, it's the first link down below within the description. With that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow within the chat. You're going to absolutely fucking crush it.